Hi everybody, Mark Hanna here. Grecian Formula, Wisdom Gaming. Here's the June 1812 in campaign in Russia scenario for War and Peace. Played out in front of you. If you like this video, please subscribe to it on YouTube. And thanks for watching.
Hello folks, here we have the main situation. In June 1812, the French are poised across the Neman River. They fought a pretty bitter battle that was high loss at Brest-Litovsk, right here. And I do want to make an adjustment from last turn. Schwarzenberger had started, not Schwarzenberger, but Bagration had started here. And I didn't make allowance for the fact that in this situation he doesn't have to pay a movement point to cross these rivers because he's starting adjacent to the river. This is a counterintuitive rule, and it's actually a remnant left over from the old game when the rivers ran in the middle of the hexes here. Okay, so I guess the idea was, well, they're in the hex, so they're straddling the river, so why not let them move any way they want? But the fact is, armies didn't build pontoon bridges just because they're sitting around there most of the time. They only built them if they knew they were going to use them. So in my opinion, that rule should be changed, but it's not going to be. So we're going to let them go 1, 2, 3 to here. And then he did try to force march at that time, but he failed. This cavalry unit had come from here, 1 to Pinsk, 2, 3, 4, and then it forced march to make a more even looking supply line. So that's where we're going to start that action. So there we go. Now the turn sequence here is that it's the attrition phase in the beginning, and this is where things can go horribly bad. I used to play this game when I thought each individual stack rolled for its own attrition. Actually, I still think that makes sense, but I guess they wanted to speed up the game, so now you have to take it all in one lump sum. So we're going to roll on the attrition table for the French side, the French player's side. So we look through our trifold, find the attrition table. There it is. Okay. Now, nobody's in Russian territory yet, so there's not going to be anything there. French and French satellite units get a -1. So let's just see what happens. I'm going to roll the die. Here's my dice tower. Let's see what comes out of here. And, of course, the French are hoping for a nice low. Well, it's not that low. It's a 4. There we go. So a 4 goes down to a 3 on the chart. Most of these guys are at 6 to 10, so that looks like they are going to lose at least a step, but it looks like they won't be losing any cavalry. I have no steps more than 15 points. So it looks like I'll be losing 1 step. That's not too bad. I'm going to stop the tape here and take care of that. Yes, hello folks. Here we are back. I've taken off about 5 steps from the French side as I tried to keep 5 strength points as much as possible in each hex. So that's not too bad. Looking at this situation, I'm going to point out is that you can see Benningsen is sitting out here at Okturov. I guess that is out by himself. And there are some forces within forced march range. If I can get that flanking move, the derriere move, I guess we should call it, I might be able to do some damage to Doktorov. So we'll go ahead and try for that. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3, looks like Wittgenstein might be in range for a Napoleonic attack when Devout goes over here. So we got to try to do some forced marching as the French, I believe, in order for them to win. Okay, so let's try that. We finished the movement phase. There is no alliance phase until November. Reinforcement phase, so I'll go ahead and put reinforcements. The French get some back over here at Dresden you can't see, and the Russians will get some up there in Moscow where you can't see, and they get another one here, I believe, at Kiev. Yeah, all right, so I'm going to place those on for the French and do some moves, and I'll start the tape again. Okay, I'm back after making some moves and some forced marches. So let's look at the situation. We've got our supply line through here, or this way. So there's some safety there. Napoleon's managed to make it all the way up here. Somebody else did the movement, but he joined the battle. So Wittgenstein is in trouble. Murat's coming back. He's got a bunch of cavalry here. There was some good force marching here, so either, I'm not sure who's going to initiate this. Poniatowski initiates it. He only has cavalry, but there's a better chance that he'll be able to do the Derriere maneuver. I wish it was called something else. Let's call it the flanking maneuver. Okay, or I can start with him and have a better initial attack, but there's a better chance that he may not succeed 50-50, so I won't get the extra +1. So that's something I'll need to evaluate. Over here, you can see in the back these guys have made their way. Here's the guard, and there's also some guard back here, so they're laggards. Okay, so here we go. These are going to be the two battles. Let's put the battle markers on there. Those are the initial battle hexes. You have to label them. So I'll have to decide which one. I don't think I want to risk all my cavalry in one fell swoop if he doesn't make it. He's got a pretty good chance, though. It's +2 to make it into the battle. Let's take a look at Docturo's force here. 2. We're not playing with hidden intelligence. Roll 4, 5. Yeah, we'll initiate it with the cavalry force, and that way we can do a cavalry charge anyway if we can't make it with the rest. Okay, relatively simple process. The moves have been made, the battles are withdrawn, and so we'll see what happens.
Hi everybody, back to resolve these battles. We've got the Battle of Riga South, is which I'm calling it. There's no good landmark nearby other than Riga. 2 hexes to the north, so this is Napoleon's combat. You can see up here, Murat is waiting to reinforce. Here's Wittgenstein. He's got a really meager force. He was trying to protect Riga, but he got caught up with. So this is a definite case of withdrawal, because what we don't want to do here is the Russians is let Napoleon get hooked up with Murat. So we want to get out of there before these guys can reinforce and keep them separated. If Napoleon advances, he'll be isolated on his own with very little cavalry. Not that there's a lot of Russians that could possibly counterattack, but it'll make him think about it. Also, it doesn't matter if we withdraw because it's only 4 strength points, so there won't be any victory points given up. All right, so what we'll do is, knowing that on the tactical matrix, let's see if we can pull that up here. Where is that thing? No. Must be in the charts. Tactical matrix chart. Yes. So what we're going to do is roll. Napoleon's smart here. He recognizes the situation too. It's always the problem that you have when you're playing 2 sides of a game. How do you pretend the other guy doesn't know what you're doing? Well, sometimes you can't. But what we'll do is we'll just see if Napoleon's having a bad day. If he rolls a 6, he will blow the attack and there won't be any combat and they'll be able to withdraw. If he rolls a 4 or 5, okay, then it'll be either an envelop or a skirmish. All right, if he rolls a 1, 2, 3, he'll hit him with a withdraw. With a charge on the withdraw. So let's see what rolls here. A 2. So Napoleon figures out the situation, so he's charging with the larger force and we'll get a +2. So let's look at this combat situation. Wittgenstein has a morale of 3. The French have a morale of 2. due to the preponderance of French infantry. So that's a difference of 1. Napoleon's got a combat rating that's 2 better. So that makes it a net positive rating for Napoleon of 1 for leadership, and then another +2 for the charge versus withdrawal. So it's a net +3, and the combat odds are 2 to 1. And here's the roll. I rolled an 8 on the combat chart. Let's have a look at it. Try to see if we can keep an eye on things. 2 to 1 combat chart with an 8. And yeah, not too bad. It was a 1d1. So both sides lose 1. Combat loss chart indicates that at 8 strength points, Napoleon will lose 1. Wittgenstein will lose 2. And then he'll lose a 3rd strength point because he doesn't have any covering cavalry. So let's move the strength points off. I'll just move them off to the side because I've got to match this on the board as well. Actually, didn't want to stack them like that. So here's what's left. And then I have to lose a French step. Keep the cavalry there. We'll do that. Okay, that's the end of that battle. Let's see if Napoleon gets hurt. And let's see if Wittgenstein gets hurt. All right. Murat was not able to join the battle. And then I'll have to decide if I'm going to advance forward 1 hex or not. Probably will, but I'm not going to show that part here. So I'm just trying to do the combat results. Now let's go over to this situation. We've got Devout initiating the attack with these infantry forces, and I've got a flanking force qualifying for the maneuver de la derrière. All right. So here we go. We've got Poniatowski's trying to do that, and he needs to roll a 5 or 6 modified by his leadership to join the battle. And what that actually does is it effectively will move him to Devout's hex, which is really a nice advantage for them. Okay, I need to make sure I know the sequence of this, so one moment I'm going to pause. All right, double checking rule U. This says that this is done at the immediate onset of combat before the tactical chits are drawn, it looks like. So let's just see if Poniatowski is going to join the battle, and he certainly is. So to reflect that, I'm going to move these guys up here like this. Okay, they'll be in Devout's hex at this point, which is actually 2 hexes away. All right, so now that we know the situation, we can look at the overview here. We've got a morale of 3. Now, the French allies and so on, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus only 4 strength points. So they're only a morale of 1, so that's a differential of 2. However, Devout also makes it a differential of 1 because he's better than Dokturov in his leadership. That means there's a net 0 because of the maneuver. They get an extra +1 for the French, so it's a net 0 here. I might want to at least try to stop those guys, so we're going to just roll on the tactical matrix this time. Let's look at the markers here for the tactical matrix. Where are they? Red tactical matrix. Okay, so here they are quickly. So we just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, as I did in the last one. I didn't specify that very clearly. Let's just see what Devout's attack is going to be. His tactical choice is a envelop. He's going to try to envelop the Dokturov. Dokturov, though, hits him back with a refuse. Okay. So now we can see what that will do. On the tactical matrix chart, we are enveloping a refuse. Oh, look at this. That's the perfect tactic to defeat an envelopment because one side the other side is reinforcing the other. So it's a net -2. The odds are I've got 9 to 5. So yeah, it's a 3 to 2 with a net -2. This could be bad. It's a 5. Maybe not so bad. CRT, 3-2 with a 5 result is 1. Each side loses 1. And when each side loses 1 at that strength point level for the lower force, it's 5 points. So each side will lose 1. And Devout wipes his brow. And we lose, I guess we'll lose these Portuguese. I don't know how they're still in the game. All right, so the Portuguese have been lost. Doktorov failed in his efforts. And now he can't withdraw. So now we can see if Ney can reinforce at the end of the battle with a +1. He fails. Ney did not join the battle. Okay, so it's going to be an 8-4, though. They got 2-1 odds. And more cavalry. This might be worthwhile to make a cavalry charge. I think just to illustrate that, we're going to try that. Napoleon will do a cavalry charge. He announces that at the start of any round of combat. Okay. The 2 dice are increased by 1. Okay. So they have cavalry, so they might as well if they do a counter cavalry charge, they'll lose their cavalry for sure, but perhaps at least it will mitigate the effects of that. And now the question is, do I withdraw? Let's just roll a morale check here. A high roll means Doktorov is going to try to escape. He rolls a 10, so he is going to try to escape. Now if I roll a low enough roll, Devout will realize that he's trying to withdraw. But no, I did not. Okay, so the withdrawal chit is being picked by the Russians. And Devout, what does he pick? He refuses. Okay, so I think what that's going to be is no combat. All right, because he's refusing a withdrawal, no combat, and the battle ceases. So Doktorov got away. But it will be a victory point for the French, as they did defeat 5 victory points. But unfortunately, Ney didn't actually join the combat, so he won't be able to advance along with those guys. Okay, so that's the result of these battles. Very interesting. Not as bloody as the last time, were they? Okay, let me move these over here. These guys are eliminated, and I'll effectively take care of this battle now, going back to the map.
Hi everybody, let me stabilize this. It's a little jiggly. Okay, here we go. Alright, so after the 2 victories by the French forces, one was a minor victory, you can see how Devout has bunched up here with his cavalry units right here. Wittgenstein had to retreat towards his supply source, so he went that way. Napoleon chose not to advance in because he didn't want to get too far from Murat. Why? Well, it would be possible. One way to defeat Napoleon is to gang up on him and cut him off from his other marshals. So this makes it very difficult for the Russians to, even if they wanted to, force march and try to hit Napoleon. And that might be dangerous anyway. Okay. So we'll see. Bagration is down here. And he's probably going to hover around here to see if he can cut supply lines or take back Brest-Litovsk, which is a victory city. So he's in good shape. But the Russians are not in good shape up here, where Wittgenstein only has 1 strength point. He can go through Riga and start trying to retreat and try to get to St. Petersburg. But right now, the road to St. Petersburg looks open to me. There's nothing in between. So we're going to have to see what the Russians can do to stop that. All right, but first, we're going to have to roll the infamous attrition roll. Now, this is always an awful thing because it's in Russia, so it's going to be an extra +1. +1 on the forced march table. Okay, no, it's not force march table. The attrition table, you silly boy. Okay. All right. So it's got a +1 for being in Russia, but a -1 for all units that are Russian that are in their home country. All the Russians are currently in supply, so that's not an issue. All right, so let's see what happens. First, I need to check and see if the reinforcement doesn't occur until after this. Right, so here's the Russians. Let's see how they do. And they don't do too badly, rolling a 3. So a 3 on that chart will yield 1 loss, but no cavalry losses until we get up to 16 to 20 points, and the Russians don't have anything there. So any stack over 6 will now lose a point. I'm going to go take care of that now. Okay, we're back after the attrition phase. The Russians did lose 3 strength points. They got 3 strength points back off the map. You don't see it. 2 in Moscow, and then here, reinforcement in, also probably not on the map now, just off the screen is Kiev. Tormazov's there to receive reinforcements. Probably a good idea to move this camera a little bit over to capture this. All right, there we go. Steady, steady, boys. There we go. All right. So this means that the Russians stop moving. It's not easy to steady this. Might have to get a tripod instead of this extension arm. This extension arm is nice, but I don't think it's meant for this application. Okay. Now, I did notice that in the reinforcements, there will be some reinforcements coming in at both Moscow, for the Russians at Moscow and at St. Petersburg during the summer and early fall. Kiev also gets a batch. So in August, Kiev gets 5 and 2 cavalry. Moscow gets a leader, Kutuzov, and St. Petersburg gets another 5. And then some Cossacks come in October. Okay. The non-French flare may replace 1 strength point of Cossack cavalry each turn at Moscow. Okay. All right. So, I don't know if Napoleon can make it to St. Petersburg before those reinforcements show up. We'll just have to see. All right, so this next task is to move some Russians. It looks like they need to fall back, except down here. They will not fall back. They will wait. In fact, I'm going to get some Cossacks out and send them on a mission. 1, 2, 3. So they can force march 2. They won't have to force march from there. I don't know if you can quite see that. 1, 2, 3 to attack Lublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to attack that supply chain. So that can be a threat to them. And where they are still in supply. So that's not so bad. Tormasov. I think Tormasov, who is here in Kiev, what will he do? I got to stop leaning on this table because it's causing the camera to jiggle. Okay. Tormasov then might go to pick up this strength point, or maybe I'll just leave that there because it is a victory city, Kharkov. Just leave that there. Tormasov, he'll wait to collect a couple more points. See where the French go, so they'll stay in Kiev. These other guys are generally going to move back and Wittgenstein up that way. So let me do these moves, force marches, and see where we're at. Okay, so here's the situation after the Russian moves. You can see how they've fallen back towards, they're in basically in the Smolensk area here. They've entrenched in the south to maintain a good position on Brest-Litovsk. The worst part was that Wittgenstein up at the top was not able to successfully force march, so he's still in danger. But Napoleon might divert his location from there to someplace else. So we sent a leader back to Moscow to be able to start moving those guys. And there is a leader also here. So there's a new leader here and one here. Of course, that's Bagration there. So all in all, it looks like a pretty standard situation here. I'm going to stop the tape, as I'm probably jiggling it again. I might have to try the tripod next time and get some better close-ups here. We'll see what happens. Wanted to try this technology out. Still goofing around. Thanks for your patience, folks. Okay, that's a wrap on this turn. We'll be moving into July.